My name is Emilio Perales. I am a retired soldier, real estate broker, entrepreneur, land developer, husband, father, grandfather, and friend. I serve on the board of directors of the Belton Chamber of Commerce and the executive committee, and I'm a past chair. And recently, I was honored as Citizen of the Year by the Belton Chamber of Commerce. I am co-owner of Vista Real Estate Group and have experienced firsthand in the challenges and opportunities of building and growing a business. And so today, this is going to be a conversation, not a lecture, and we're going to get started. All right, today we have, for our panelists, we have Jordan Samfield from First Texas Bank. We have Sabrina Young from Young's Daughters Funeral Home and Bereavement Center, and Jason Ehler from Small Business Development Center. And I am going to pass it off to Jordan and ask Jordan to tell us a little bit about himself, and then we'll go right down the line.
Well, thank you so much, Emilio, and thank you everyone for being here today. Talking with a lot of people around the room this morning, and can't stress how important this event is, connecting business owners in Central Texas, talking about business. They gave us an open mic and a room full of people here, and we get to talk about business for the whole day today. That's pretty awesome, y'all. But a little bit about myself. My name is Jordan Samfield, and I'm Senior Vice President Commercial Lending at First Texas Bank right here in Belton, Texas. I work for First Texas Bank. We're headquartered in Georgetown, but our roots run deep in Central Texas. I'm committed to working with local business owners, real estate developers, real estate investors every day to help grow their businesses, whether they're just starting out, whether they're scaling their business, or whether they're looking to transition their business to the next generation. So that's what we do. We serve all of Central Texas, but I think the lessons that we're going to talk about up here in entrepreneurship will apply to all businesses across the state too. So we're excited to be here, and I look forward to our conversation today.
All right, next we have Sabrina.
Thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of your panel. My name is Sabrina Young. I am a two-time OEF veteran, and I own Young's Daughters Funeral Home and Bereavement Center, a for-profit and nonprofit side. And I'm a member lifetime service officer for the VFWs, American Legion, and the DAV. And I thank you again.
All right, next we have Jason Ehler with the Small Business Development Center.
Yeah, thank you, Emilio. My name's Jason. I work for the Small Business Development Center. Small Business Development Centers, they are a partnership program through the Small Business Administration in the state of Texas. So what we do is we assist entrepreneurs and businesses in all facets of business, from business planning, working on financials, management, government contracting, whatever it is, we can assist. My background, I have been in banking, IT, healthcare, retail sales. I've ran some of my own business, and I've been a business advisor for the Small Business Development Center since 2013. So that's kind of what I have to add.
All right, I'm excited about this, and this is the first time anybody's ever asked me to moderate a panel, so I am excited. So here we go. We're going to get started with Jordan, and one of the questions that pops up, and I'm sure for anybody thinking about starting a business, is what are the most common challenges most small businesses face when seeking capital, and how can they better prepare themselves?
Absolutely, and that's a great question. The first thought that comes to mind is I think most people that are going into business for the first time are fearful or just don't know about all the options, right? They're intimidated by the different options for financing out there or where to start. But I always say that to overcome those fears is to help get educated on what all the different types of financing are available and to start the conversation earlier. It really takes building a team to get into business. And I can't stress how important that is to seek out the advice of a local banker. So you got the advice of someone like Jason from the SBDC to help prepare yourself for all the different types of options for financing. Because there's no one silver bullet out there. There's never one solution for every type of business. It might be the combination of different types of financing. So education and building your team is critical. Getting a good attorney, getting a good CPA, getting a good bookkeeper, a good insurance agent, a small business development advisor, a banker. These are all people that will be a part of your team to help you understand those challenges better and help reduce those fears and anxieties of starting a new business and seeking financing for it. So building a team is critical. I think another thing that is a challenge that a lot of small businesses start out with is preparing their pro forma or their projections for the business and either overestimating their cost or underestimating their cost in certain areas. And that's, again, why I can't stress it enough, getting in front of somebody earlier on in the process. You don't have to be in business to talk to somebody about business. Come see us early on in the process to help us work with you. We all up here on this stage want to partner with you to help grow your business, right? That's the goal of a good advisor. So those are some ways to do it. And know your why you're going into business. That's a big one too.
All right.
And know your numbers.
All right, thank you. Jason, you want to jump in on that a little bit?
Yes. Jordan made some excellent points, particularly with your network. I mean, it's really important to start developing your networks before you need assistance. That way, you have some familiarity. You have a way to really work, especially with a lender. I mean, once you go to a lender needing money, well, you really should have that relationship established. And like Jordan was saying too, whenever it is time to get a loan, having all your ducks in a row, knowing exactly how much you need is critical. A lender's only going to give you what you have to have. These lenders typically work with the 5 C's of credit. I'm not sure if you guys have heard about the 5 C's of credit, which, are capital and collateral, your character. Well, if you go into a lender not knowing exactly what you need, well, your character is already tarnished. You're kind of showing you haven't done your research. You may not be ready to start a business. So, yeah, all excellent points. And definitely, work on just being prepared and not waiting for the last minute. That planning piece is so critical.
And so now we're going to jump to Sabrina, because out of the last 2 panelists speaking here, Sabrina's the one that, where the rubber met the road, and she started her business. And so in piggybacking off of what they talked about, I mean, what did you find were some of the biggest challenges or successes that you had?
Well, that's a very loaded question, because there's 2 parts to that question. You asked me what were my challenges and what was my blessings. So I definitely would say recommend. I went to everybody, like once God, I'm a Christian woman, so once God, I prayed on that in 2019, and I said, all right, doors were closing on me. Lord, what you got for me? And I'm telling you, when I prayed that night, God delivered the most vivid dream. And it was in color even, like I saw it. And I instantly woke up with a passion to start networking. I needed to find out who's going to believe in me to build this funeral home. So I went knocking on all the families I've served in my prior time and said, hey, if I build this, would you be there to support me? And I'm going to tell you what, God's testimony was right there. They said, yes. I said, I need a promissory note. I need you to lift your pre-need and come to me. I got to show the bank all the people that are going to use me. And, I had to network. I had to get my business plan. I met with the SBA, and they gave me something called the Dream Builder business plan model, right? You sit through this curriculum. And then when I was transitioning out of the military, I also went to, underneath the SBA, I think it's called Boots to Business. And I did a lot of research. I did a lot of networking with other business owners, asking them, how did you get started? What do we need to do? How, mentor me, show me exactly what I need to do. But, it really came from the vision, the support of who is supporting you, making sure you have that support. That was really big. And then when I met Jason, I approached his office and I said, hey, brother, I need some help. He got me all my projections. I managed businesses before, so I was already familiar with what the projections were needed. I had a realistic idea. I didn't come in blinded saying help, but we were able to collaborate together and made it very presentable to a bank. I didn't bank locally. I'm from USA Bank. We don't even have a branch locally. So with his expertise and his network, he was able to introduce me to quite a few bankers, presidents of banks. And, you know, it took a lot of no's before I got my yes. And I wish the gentleman would hear was today. His name was Jesse Bro, but my biggest hurdle was, you're too young. You don't have a partner. You don't have somebody in this business with you. You don't have, like heirs. You don't have your parents on the, coming in with you. Well, I didn't have any of that. I was 23 years old, and I had a good work ethic and experience under my belt, and that's what gave me my yes. And I'll tell you what, there was a lot of no's. But, between the networking of what all of Texas gave me, that's what really founded the 2021 building project, and I've been grateful ever since.
All right, that's awesome. One of the things that I wanted to ask Jordan was, what are some of the biggest hurdles, I guess, that you see when people come in to talk to you about different type of loan products that you have out there, and trying to, say this, this would fit your need, but it's going to take a little bit longer because of the product, or?
Absolutely. So I think one of the biggest things that most new entrepreneurs could get right to help avoid mistakes going forward for financing is to understand what you are actually needing financed. Okay, we always, in the banking world, we match up sources and uses. What is the source of these funds and what is its use? And if you can look at that, and I also give the advice, when you're an entrepreneur, think like a bank. When you come to the bank, think like the bank. What is the bank going to want to see? These are things they're going to want to understand. They're going to want you to understand that you know your numbers, you know your customers, and you know your why. Why are you seeking to finance? Why are you getting into this type of business? When you know your numbers, you really do know your business. So, and I'll tell you a little secret, I've never seen bad pro formas before. I've never seen bad projections. They're always up and to the right, okay? So that's okay. We want to see the business, the path to profitability is really critical. But I think that having an understanding of those things would help make it easier for entrepreneurs to really come in and get secure financing for whatever they're needing. And back to the point earlier with Sabrina and Jason is, I heard a good quote, your net worth is your network, right? Your network is your net worth, however you want to phrase it. The bigger you can build your network, the easier it is going to be able to find capital for the specific needs. But matching up that need with that source of financing is key, and there's probably going to be different types of financing. It might not just be one type of business loan. It might be this type of loan or this type of loan or this bridge capital. Or and we can get into that too, Emilio, and talking about the different types of financing, but there's probably more than one way to finance each project.
And Jordan knows that I can become very creative because I go see him quite often. And so my next question is to Jason. What separates business owners who succeed and those who struggle?
Yeah, I think a big piece of success versus failure is really just preparation and persistence. Trusting your plan, developing a plan, having some goals in place is what it takes. Those who succeed, they've gone through the planning exercise. They understand exactly how much money they're going to need to get started. They know on a monthly basis, well, how much exactly are your expenses going to incur just to operate, whether it's fixed, whether it's variable, coming up with the correct pricing, and then obviously having a value proposition. What is your true benefit defined as is a big piece. And that really should be narrowed down to one sentence, maybe as little as 10 words. What is your true benefit? Because everyone sells a product or a service, but what benefit are you providing? So really going through that planning aspect to know, okay, this is what you realistically expect to sell. This is the income you expect to make. Here's what your expenses look like. On the flip side, some of those that may not succeed as well, it is typically just because they haven't planned. They don't know what their goals are. They're not working for a specific objective that they're trying to achieve. So, business is one of those things where you're going to have to pivot. I mean, you're constantly going to fight the external environment, whether it's, transition of trends, the value of money, interest rates, all these things come into play. So constantly evaluating that external environment and just being prepared to pivot and not being so stuck on, this is how I do it and this is how I'm going to continue to do it, but find out what is it what do your clients, what do your customers really want?
Thank you. And so my next question is going to go to Sabrina. And what a lot of you don't know is Sabrina is a veteran and she was an MP. And when I initially talked to her, I thought for sure that she was mortuary affairs because that would transition into her business. And so in saying that, earlier we kind of mentioned some learning curves and stuff. What are the most important things that you had to learn quickly and adapt to get yeses?
The most thing I had to adapt to is even though you have a business plan and you think it's rock solid, other people are going to review this business plan and you have to change some things about it. And you might be super passionate about it, but you have to find ways to overcome your hurdles to get to that yes. In our funeral industry, we have something called a church truck, right? It's a legal term. It's in the dictionary. It's a thing that we put our caskets on. And so whoever reviewed my business plan at that time said, we don't like that word. It's too churchy. And I was like, what? That's what it's actually called. They said, no. Change it to metal expandable device. And then we're going to get you your yes. I said, well, shoot, type that up, right? So, being realistic that your business plan is not going to be permanent. It's an evolutionary, it's always evolving, it's always adapting. In the funeral industry, they said, Sabrina, how are you going to overcome building this big old building when cremation's on the rise? So that was a hurdle, right? And I said, well, I'm not here to be the low-end cremation person. I'm here to celebrate. I'm here to be all-inclusive. One thing that separated us was, the funeral industry is still very segregated. You have firms that are they're tailored only to specific groups, specific religions, specific organizations. Well, I'm not about that. I'm for if you are a living, breathing human and a pet, I'm going to take care of you. And if you teach me and my staff how to accommodate, our families, our different groups and organizations, we strive constantly to continue education. So don't just say, I now have a business, but it's always constantly learning your developments, learning and pivoting, and having the best team that understands your mission. My mission's here. But trying to give it to my staff was kind of really big. I had to align myself with people that are of all walks of faith, that are all diversity, but still at the core of each one of us, we knew what was driving the mission. So making sure your mission's, open and honest and transparent and what you're standing for. When people walk through my doors, they know when they shake my hand what kind of person they're going to get. Because I strive to make sure that was going to be projected. And I want my staff to be exactly like what the mission calls for. I had people that, because I'm a Christian and my business is Christian, I even hired people that were non-Christian, right? Because I want to be able to serve other people. And they said, Sabrina, I'm uncomfortable with this, or I'm uncomfortable with that. I said, and that's okay. We're all going to meet each other in the middle somewhere. And being able to see your hurdles and being able to not get held back by no's, because we got a lot of no's. And so just finding the way, go around it, hop over, go under, whatever you got to do to get there, don't let it stop you.
One of the biggest reasons I love working with veterans, and I'm one myself, is because of that mentality. A no is a no, but we're going to figure out how to go through it, go under it, go over it, go around it, whatever, blow it up. whatever it takes, we're going to get through it. And there's going to be plenty of no's, but eventually we're going to get a yes out of it. And so, hey, so it kind of leads to my next question. And this is for all of y'all to think about, and we'll get a quick answer from y'all. From someone starting from zero, what's one of the first steps they should take?
Well, like I briefly touched on earlier, starting from zero, you need to really validate your idea. Meaning, does anybody want what you're selling? Right? Then really coming up with that value proposition that I talked about. What separates you from anyone else that's doing something similar? Coming up with a really good value proposition is where you got to separate yourself from your competitors and figure out, why is somebody going to buy from you? So in my opinion, that's step one.
All right, awesome.
Yeah, I think that. Y'all can probably hear me.
I was going to say pray on it. Absolutely pray on it first. That's going to get you going.
Yeah, and to dovetail, to know your why, right? That's your value proposition. But if you can identify that and articulate it to other people, I think you're going to really be able to build that firm foundation to grow the business. Okay, it should all center around that mission that you talked about. That to me, that was your mission. You just described your value proposition right there in your business. And I think if everybody here that's in business or looking to go into business can take that and learn to adapt to what their mission is and come up with it, formulate it, that's going to be the foundation. But I'll give one other piece of advice too that's maybe counterintuitive, but if you're looking to start a business, go talk to your competition. Maybe it's not in this market per se. Maybe it's in a different market. Learn what other successful people are doing in their industry that you're trying to get into and learn from them. Be a sponge. I heard a great quote. I like quotes. You're always a student, sometimes a teacher, and never an expert, okay? Go out, always be a student, learn something new every day about your industry, about the business you're looking to start. Go talk to people who are doing it, that are very successful in that respective industry. Again, maybe not in the same market that you're looking to break into, but go seek out the advice of others. And I think talking to the competition is it's undervalued and can be a wealth of knowledge because they can tell you how to fast track things.
All right, thank you. And this goes now over to Sabrina, and you kind of touched on it a little bit, but there are a lot of businesses like yours in Bell County, and so what makes you stand out and people gravitate over to your business as opposed to somebody else's?
So just like as you were speaking, I went to Texas Funeral Directors Association. I learned from all of my other owners of their firms, of their homes, and I asked them for tips and tricks. I went to a lot of our conventions within the industry. I looked at all the various products that we're going to offer to our families. I saw there were so much more advanced products that our industry in Bell County was not taking advantage of for our families. If you have the opportunity and you're in my neck of the woods, please come by. We have a beautiful display. I went to Washington, D.C., and it was kind of like my pretty girl moment. I don't know if you've seen Pretty Woman, but I went into the short story, but I went in and I asked a gentleman, I said, how much is this projector screen? And he goes, oh, you won't be able to afford it. Well, I said, well, I didn't ask how much it was. I just want to know where you got it from. So I took my phone, I zoomed in, and it was a company in the UK. And they said, oh, yeah, we'll build it for you and we'll ship it to you in the United States. I said, well, fantastic. $500 a gallon of paint it cost me to make this projector screen. But I toured all the funeral homes. I captured what I wanted, and I looked at other funeral homes. I was like, I'm going to leave that right there. And I brought what I thought was going to be best for our community. And I wanted to be all-inclusive. I wanted to make sure everybody was trained on every religion, every race. And I wanted to be very spiritual, but also non-spiritual to those people that are the nuns, right? But I wanted them to be able to say, why do you serve me? And I wanted to say, hey, I serve you because that's what Jesus told me to do, was treat you all like my brothers and sisters in Christ, whether you are or not. And so I want that projection to come forward. And I think that's what really separates me, because when you look at our obituaries, it's all over the board. I got people from all over the place. And I always say, if I haven't served you before, why did you come to me? And they say, you know what? I read your reviews. I like the way you shook my hand. I like what you stand for. And I was like, wow, well, that's honest feedback, right? And people, my competitors used to make fun of me. They said, you paid for your reviews. I said, those things are whole books. I said, I can't pay for that. So, you know, your business is going to speak for yourself. Your handshakes are going to speak for yourself. The network that you have is worth gold, I'll tell you, because if I didn't have those promissory notes on paper, there's probably no way he would have worked with me. But, you know, just knowing that, I think that's where I'm going to leave that.
All right, that's an awesome answer. You know, I retired in 2008, but I became a business owner somewhere around 2002. And things like this weren't available, and social media wasn't there where it is today. And so now there's so much that you can go out there and find out. And so we kind of did it. The old cut and paste was cut and paste, you know? And so you try to put together a good little product and take it over to your banker or somebody and, you know, to try to get a yes, and it was tough. And so I went through, when I built my building in West Temple through the SBA. And that was a wonderful resource. And so, and they worked alongside one of the local banks and to make sure that we could get the funding to build this building. And so for that, I'm very appreciative. And I think that there's things like that out there for everybody. So one of the things that I want to kind of talk about, you know, what non-bank funding sources exist, and when should owners or potential business owners consider using them. And we'll start with Jason at the end.
Well, we have a lot of non-traditional bank lenders out there that are available for small businesses. Starting a small business, one of the most difficult pieces is getting the funding, because as a startup, there is no track record. Nobody knows how you're going to do. So, you know, lenders are really risk adverse. I mean, their whole purpose is to lend money that they know they can get back, right? So, you know, like Sabrina said, like Jordan said, you know, a no now doesn't always mean a no later. So there's lots of additional options out there. There's online lenders that are non-bank lenders that sometimes have a quicker turnaround time than a traditional lender, or are willing to do a more riskier loan depending on, you know, certain factors. You know, they may make you inject more capital or more collateral. Interest rates may be a little bit higher. But there's also some other really good funding sources out there. I've seen a couple of them here, known as Certified Development Financial Institutions. And I've talked to Lift Fund back there earlier, and they are a non-bank lender. They're a nonprofit organization that does fund small businesses, whether it's startup or for growth. So that's another thing. Crowdfunding used to be a big one. It's not as big anymore, but there's platforms out there such as Indiegogo, Kickstarter, GoFundMe, where you can kind of do a pitch, maybe offer some perks if you get enough funding and get started to give back to whom donated to you. So, you know, most people do have to bootstrap on a startup just because it is so difficult to get funding, especially depending on what the amount is. So, you know, using your family, using friends, anybody that'll give you money, right, is how you typically start. What other sources have you guys seen?
Well, I want to piggyback on that thing, because it doesn't take only one loan to make your dream come true. I had to take 3. One for my, first I bought the land. The land was collateral. And then I had to get the building loan. Then I had to get an equipment loan to furnish everything inside there, you know, my lifts and have all the inventory. And then you get another loan. And you don't realize, I'm like, dang, how many loans do I need? But, you know, with your projections, one loan ain't going to steal the deal. Sometimes you're going to have to, even going to the bank to ask for these loans. I'm going to tell you, I had a lot of no's, right? I'm going to tell you a couple more of them. So the first time they say, we want 10% down. Nah, we want 15%. I was like, 15? I was like, geez, okay. Then they said, well, this is a specialty project. We want 25% down. I said, well, why am I even going to get a loan here in a second? They said 35%. I said, my Lord. And I was so mad, right? But I came with it. I had all those people crowdfunding. I had my families. I had friends. I asked those people to bring me pre-needs, and it added up. And it was like ding, 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 ding. Boom, I got it. And so it's going to take a lot of no's. It's going to take a lot of different resources to get you the funding that you're going to need. But don't get discouraged. That's just the devil working. Don't get discouraged. So just keep on trucking. Find your yes. Blow stuff up. Just find your way.
If I can add to that, that was a great explanation of things too. But to help the fellow bankers out there, to give a perspective too from the bank side, is we want to partner with entrepreneurs. So when we finance a deal, when we fund a deal and we become a partner in your business, a very small partner, but it is a partnership, and it's a partnership that we value very much, and we want it to be successful, most importantly. So when we say no, it's not because we don't believe in your business completely. It might need to be just tweaked a little bit to help get you closer to that yes. And that's where we talked about being flexible, pivoting, learning how to adapt and really understand your numbers, because that's what the bank's like, is we want to be able to see the path to profitability, the numbers that are going to help you grow and become profitable. But we love partnering with local businesses. That's what we do. That's what community banking at its core really is, and why I'm so passionate about. Entrepreneurship, as we said earlier, is the backbone of America. It's responsible for the majority of job creation here. If you're working for a company right now, there's a good chance at one point it was a small business and it may have grown. They've started throughout the time, right? And we want to see that torch continues to get carried by all of our business owners out there. So,
All right. Hey, I love that. So we're going to transition now and to a rapid fire round, and so I'm going to ask each of you this, and give me a your quick short answer if possible. One mistake new business owners should stop making right now.
stop doubting yourself and start the conversation. Go forward. It's like this morning, we all drove in the fog today, right? You're not going to be able to have a clear blue sky day every day. There's going to be fog. You got to go forward. Keep going. Keep showing up.
Great answer. Anybody else?
Use your network, guys. Don't take this venture on alone. There's so many resources out there. Check out the SBA website. Lots of great data. Talk to mentors, people that have been in business. Find out where they have failed, so that you don't have to maybe necessarily go through those same issues or problems that you could get a little bit of guidance on and work through and have a smoother path to entry.
All right, Sabrina, you got anything to add to that?
Well, I heard the question as, if I was doing something right now, what would I stop doing? And that would be trying to take all my irons and work them myself. When you're a business owner, you got so many irons in the fire. You just got to focus, hyper-focus on what's really priority, and then delegate. You can't take it all on yourself. You have a team, you got to utilize them. So, and pairing your iron with the right person to carry that torch is going to be your biggest hurdle. But finding that, I mean, if you don't carry your torch by yourself, you got to separate it. You're going to have a bigger fire if you got more torches with more people. And
that's exactly it. And the main thing is, at some point, you got to quit strategizing and you got to launch. You got to get started. And don't be afraid of failure. Get started and move on. All right, so now we're going to open it up to audience question and answers. So anybody have any questions for any of the panelists?
Hi, I'm Laura. This is for anyone. What's your favorite success story?
I don't know him personally, but I love Warren Buffett, right? He's the GOAT, in my opinion. He's 95, by the way, and I know he just recently announced that he's not going to be putting out a shareholder letter, but he has so many pearls of wisdom, so many observations in business, and for him to have built what he's built over that many years is just, to me, inspiring. And one of my favorite quotes by him is that the rear windshield is always clearer than the front in business. And again, go forward, don't be afraid, and build your network and ask questions. Start the conversation sooner. But I really like Warren Buffett. I think he's a great business leader.
Mine is Elon Musk. And if you think about SpaceX, and they're testing these rockets and they're failing over and over, costing millions and millions and millions of dollars. And people thought this isn't going to work. And they asked him, how are you going to ensure this is going to work? And he said, every time we fail, we're getting data. And now they have figured out how to land that thing. And that's it. Everybody else saw him as failing. He was gathering data, and now he can land that thing in the middle of the ocean on a ship. And so those are things that I tell people, you got to see through it. You got to see through the failures and keep going forward. Anybody else?
Hi, I'm Sean. This is my wife, Carla. If we had 10 minutes to talk to any of the three of you up there, who should we talk to first?
She's done it.
I couldn't have done it without these guys. So without having the support, I mean, if you want the how did you do it, when did you do it, these are the, if you want a timeline or something like that, like I'm your person, but if you need the actual resources, somebody that's gonna bring you to home to the bank and give you a home run, that's gonna be these guys.
Yeah, if you're looking to go from idea to execution, I would love to sit down and talk with you, get a plan together, figure out what your goals are, determine the next steps, and then see where we can take it from there. And I have tons of resources to get you in touch with people that are successful, with lenders. So absolutely, I would love to speak with you.
Great, thank you.
It's a good question.
There's one in the back.
First of all, thank you for being here. My question to you is, a lot of people have a lot of strong talents, a lot of great skill sets, but one of the things that they fall short on is marketing, reaching their audience. What are some of the ingenious or innovative or new technology or something you saw, something you heard, something you've done yourself? What was the best marketing hack that you can share with us? And if each one of y'all can share at least one great marketing hack that we can take away today.
I got this one. Marketing, I started a YouTube channel and I started interviewing all the networks, people that are local businesses that are gonna support my business also. Like for instance, there was Salado Glassworks. They offer cremated remains in their products. So I wanted to associate my business with their business. There were other businesses that are creating flowers. Well, I wanted to align my business with those businesses. Elevating my business on social media, so having Facebook, having Instagram, having Twitters, but also making your business about you and your networking of all of your other community partners. Just because your vendors are supporting your business, elevate your vendors because they're gonna elevate you, right? So have a YouTube channel. I also became a talk show host here in the near future. It's about to launch, so you're gonna hear a lot about being the face of your business, speaking for your business, and making sure that you're relevant, that you look like you're the mayor of whatever your business is, making sure you're the front person that everybody knows to go to. And you have to do that with your own face. Yes, I have a secondary face to my business, but she's so shy, she won't get out there. So I have to do all this stuff, right? So elevating all of every platform, and it doesn't have, I do print as well, but print is now going online a lot, but still advocate if your market is of an older crowd, then go ahead and still be in print. But those are the ones that I find are helpful. My market's gonna be on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube's, so that's where we're found.
If I could add to that too, I would say just know your customer, right? Know who your end user, end target market is going to be, and identify that before you start your business. And that way you're spearfishing instead of shrimp boat netting, right? Like you want to. I mean, there's a need for both of those in different marketing instances, but you want to know who you're going after. And then the other part is, sometimes I'm not that creative, I'm not that smart. Seek out who's doing it well in your industry. Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, right? Find people that are doing marketing really well and figure out how to put your own unique value proposition on that and kind of have a model there.
Yeah, and one of the things that I would say is use your clients, use your customers as advocates. I read out there that if you have someone that you trust recommend something to you, you are 15 times more likely to purchase or utilize that service. So ask your clients, ask your customers. One of the cheapest marketing plans you can have is have them go out and sell your product for you. Just tell what a great service or product that you have.
All right, we're going to get some great marketing information in I believe, the next segment. And so we are going to move on. But one of the things that I wanted to say is a couple of years ago, right before I became the chair of the Belton Chamber of Commerce, that year I got diagnosed with cancer. And so I went through a lot of things, but I came up with this deal every Tuesday to post random Tuesday thoughts. And I'm not selling anything. It's a 2 to 3 minute conversation about life, the power of no, the power of yes, the power of prayer, different things. And in doing that, that personal relationship goes back to marketing. You can have all the technology in the world, but it all goes back to relationships, how you make somebody feel, how they made you feel. And that's what we got to get back to, is those personal relationships, because if you can have a personal relationship with somebody, you're going to have the yeses, and they're going to come. All right, I want to thank our panelists for sharing their experience, and thank you to each person here today for investing time into your business and your future. Small Business Drives Texas, and events like this ensure that entrepreneurs have access to their tools, guidance, and support. Before we close, I want to highlight one of the best local resources available to anyone thinking about starting a business, and that's your local chambers, your EDCs. If you're considering launching a business, go talk to them. Go by and visit the Belton Chamber of Commerce, the Belton EDC, Temple, Killeen. They've got awesome resources to hook you up with people. Thank you again to the panelists, the governor's office, and the Texas Economic Development and Tourism team for hosting this summit. Thank you.